Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak Extra. If you're just joining, make sure you have a cup of coffee or tea as we go through the stories that made it to the national dailies this morning. And as usual, it's tradition that we start with Daily Trust weekend. And the major story there says Nigerians under burden of malaria. You know, the season actually always comes with one or two reactions to, our body system and what have you. So definitely malaria is one thing that for sure would have come up. So the cost of drugs rises by 100%. That's for the rider, and then single dose hits 10,000. Now you can find these details on the front page of the Weekend Trust. You can see the tables that is showing what and how children are mostly affected, and then the prevalence of malaria in Nigeria, the cost of treatments and everything. You can see it down there as we've put out for you. Well, and below the mass is Bawumia Mahama battle as Ghanaian choose new president today. You know, the elections, Ghanaians are going to, choose their president as usual, just like we did. Ghana is also doing theirs. I mean, the social media is going crazy some days back where Nigerians are supporting Ghanaians and, posting on the elections. We have a way of, actually making sure that we pay attention to other people's elections. I just wish we were doing the same with ours. You can find that details on page 33. Forgotten Souls, the story of leper in Niger. Now, if you remember a couple of months, I think we talked about, some communities where some people are there just because they cannot be amongst other people. Now, this is actually a sad one. You can actually go through the story on page 26. I was actually going through it just before coming, but then you can go through it to see what we have to see for you down there. And then police commissioner sacks 19 officers over misconduct. Now, it's good to see that the commissioner is doing something, finding out what is happening within his office to know who are the people to trust and who not to trust. And when we see this kind of thing happening, we are happy to say that, yes, we've chosen the right people for the job. And I'm sure the others are going to be cautious of what they are going to be doing henceforth. So you can find that details on page 12. Kaduna's Millennium City Power Project that never commenced. Now, this is a lot to unpack because remember when the former governor was having issues with the allegations and what have you. So I'm sure you're going to see a lot on page 10. Then Kano government blames FG as police, DSS barricade Emir's palace. Now there's a rumor, not really a rumor I'll say, but because it's what's on social media already, that after the Bichi Emir's death, a new one was assigned, and then there are people that still don't like Sanusi for being the emir again after the current governor put him back in his position. So there are some rumors about he is going to be attacked, and hence they had to stop him from going out. So you can find details on page 12 of the Weekend Trust. And then we're moving on to Punch this morning. And the major story there says tax reform. Northern senators divided as stakeholders form panel. Regardless of the fact that they are from the same party, we've seen a lot of people saying that the APCs are, there's always going to be a party crisis at the end of the day. So it seems to be some division in the party. So they have to fix that for them to be able to come to terms with what to do with the tax reform. As we know, the lawmakers give conditions to back bills. Like we've seen committees that were set up to go through the bill again before finally probably passing it and then being implemented. And the back and forth is a lot of northern governors are saying that it's not time, the timing is not right, but they are not saying the tax reform shouldn't be passed or it shouldn't be implemented. So you can go through page 4 for more details on that. And then Farotimi Afe Babalola demands proof police files fresh charges. Now this is also a back and forth, and it's amazing to see that in the midst of all this, actually Farotimi's book is becoming the #1 seller, which we are going to definitely see in other newspapers. So you'll tie the Dangote marketers strike supply deal, NNPC exports to Dubai. Now this is good. At least we are coming to an agreement at the end of the day, and we just hope that this is going to bring succor for Nigerians at the end of the day. You can find details on page 5. And then why Nigerian-born Adeboyega's deportation was approved. This is coming from the UK judge. Yeah, so you can find that details on page 4. If I'm sure it's going to be always interesting during weekends, because most newspapers have Saturday and Sunday together, so this is a whole lot for you to go through, which definitely you can find the soft copies on the platforms. And then people always ask if we are triplets. Now this is coming from siblings born same month, same day. Imagine having, you can't say they are triplets but they are born on the same day, right? And if they are being seen doing similar things, definitely they will pass for triplets. But then you can actually identify who is who. They don't look like triplets at all. But then find their stories on page 11. And then scammers forge CAC certificates as Nigerians lose millions to fake declutter pages. Now this is coming at this time that it's festivity and a lot of things keeps happening. Yesterday we talked about the certificates that people tend to go to Togo and Benin to get, and now the CAC certificates are also being forged, which we are still having a lot to deal with. Corruption will never seem to kind of go away unless something is actually being done. Something has to be done. You can find that details on page 20 and 21. Erin Ilesha waterfalls. Tourist gem in ruins as neglect persists. Well, this is the time that we know end of the year is when you see people coming down to Nigeria. Even Nigerians living in diaspora always want to come down to Nigeria, to enjoy their festivities and what have you. And tourism is actually one thing that I feel would definitely generate revenue for the country. When we have people coming in to probably invest and go through the kind of, things that we have, mountains and waterfalls and what have you. So, well, you can find that details on page 29. Police demote assistant commissioner, sacks 19 others for misconduct. Like I read earlier, this is very important that it's coming at this time. And, a lot, I know a lot is going to be done when it comes to reshuffling and finding out who is doing what. This should be done in every sector. I mean, when you see someone doing this and you're applauding the person for doing their job, then you should also do your job. Well, find that details on page 7. Hookups has dangerous consequences. This is coming from Ayo Adesanya, warns young girls. Well, it's really needed because girls are actually falling victims of a lot of, hookup deals that they end up losing their lives for one thing or the other. A lot of girls go out to see people that they don't even know. They just meet on social media, or they just met, and probably they won't even know this person is a bad person through someone, or they just go out to just look for, you don't know who you're encountering or what danger awaits you. So this is actually a good warning. And I hope that young girls are going to take time to read this to see why Ayo is saying this. Go through page 17 for more details. Now, let's move to the next newspaper, which is the Tribune. And the major story there is Farotimi, police ban protest, gathering files fresh, 12 counts charges. Still boils down to what I just said earlier. Afe Babalola demands apology from detained lawyer. Well, this is the back and forth with the Ferrotimi and then the tax reform is just been for the tax reform has been for more than 3 weeks now, and then this is also sort of back to back so far. You can find details on page 3 too, so you can see what counts were charged. He's charged with again. And then Kano governor forms as security operative storm Emir's palace. Similar stories at the end of the day, because this is Nigeria, we have to report what is happening. But go through page 6 for more details, because the storytelling may be different and some information you may see on others, you may not see on others. So page 6 is where you can find these details. Tinubu, Makinde, Sanwo-Olu, Oyetola mourn death of Islamic preacher Muhyiddin Bello. Our heart goes out to his family. I mean, we just lost popular Kannywood singer also just a couple of days ago, and then now we've lost another preacher. So go through page 13 for more details. Wike denies allegation of executive using projects to influence judiciary. Weekend is anyway, I won't just say weekend, because every day there's a lot of stories that people would want to just wait and see what comes out next. So this is it for you. Go through page 4 for more details. Makinde inaugurates Oyo's first independent hybrid power plant. It's good to see that new things are being done, and this is another story that you should go through page 7 for more details if you want to. So next paper is let's take a look at Punch. Okay, let's take a look at Vanguard. We'll bring that subsequently. The major story there says why people with mental health challenge deserve better attention. It's actually high time, because I saw some stories a couple of days back that Kogi State were complaining of mentally unstable people in the state, and they're demanding for them to be taken back to their states, because they wouldn't know what would happen when you have mentally unstable people roaming around in a state where there are families, children, wives, and what have you. And the killings happening, of recent is actually too much. So they have every reason to be scared. But this is coming at the time where, end of the year, it's something that people should sit down and look at. Go and check your mental health to know what's happening to you, if you're okay or not. Because you may look like you're okay, but you're not mentally. That doesn't mean you're going mad, but just that you're stressed and you're worrying over certain things, and then definitely that will affect your mental health. But for this, we're talking about mentally unstable people. I mean, you can see the pictorial, the newspaper, the Guardian newspaper. Okay, so Saturday Vanguard, tax reform bills not Restrategises. So we'll bring that for you subsequently. Sorry for that. So yeah, I was talking about the mentally unstable people, and yeah, you can see a picture of the psychiatric hospital and a mad person actually trying to escape or sort. So you can go through page 8 and 9 for more details. I'm sure it's going to be an interesting story to go through this weekend. And then you have the Daura or Omeji, sorry for that. When you can go through the details if you want. Every time the Guardian has a way of putting a woman saying something, and I can barely see what is written down there, but then you can go through the story. When will our national grid collapse? When will our national grid collapse? With a question mark. So it's a question. We are not hoping for it to keep collapsing. This is the end of the year. We want people to enjoy their festivities. The grid collapse is something that we are not looking out for. So go through the back page to see more details on that. AGF Interior Minister orders renew commitment to correctional system reform. You can find that details on page 2. Tribune's Garo as renowned Islamic scholar Muhyiddin Ajani Bello passes on. Well, you can find details on page 25. And how Sokoto governor is changing state's water supply narrative. This is coming from Machido. You can find that details on page 10. And then Tinubu strengthening investment ties with France despite Sahel Africa log out. Well, if you want to know what he's talking about, you can actually go through page 4 for more details on that. And finally, let's take a look at Vanguard, Saturday Vanguard this morning. And the major story there says, tax reform bills, North restrategizes as regional crisis looms. Now, the writer there says, Northern Democrats raise panel to review bill in 7 days. If you remember, I said it earlier that there are committees that were set up to, go through the bill before taking it back, and then probably they'll pass it, and the implementations can start probably next year. I'm just assuming that. Well, Senate reps take a contrary stand. There's always going to be for and against. So that's coming from the Senate and reps. Why reps suspend debate indefinitely? Still on the tax reform. The back and forth is just, too much. And a lot of people are feeling like the Northerners don't want that, and that poverty is dwelling in the North, and people are going against this. Nobody is actually going against that. Probably if you listen to their explanations and complaints, you will understand why some are against and some are for the tax reform bill to take place. So, Northern lawmakers mount pressure. Now, this is another writer. FG's sensitizations late. So, this is coming from KB Commissioner. It's still talking about the tax reform. We'll always have people that will always say something about every story. So, tax reform will protect poor people. Now, this is coming from the DG of the NOA. Now, if you remember, I said it that there's always going to be for and against, and people will always support and people will always go against. For people like Senator Ndumi, Governor Babagana Zulum, and the rest are actually saying it's not time for that to, take place. Just give a little time and then bring it. There's a lot to be reformed, not just tax reform, but Nigeria needs to be reformed according to Senator Ndumi. So go through page 5 for more details. Ex-Reps member backs Tinubu. Now, I'm sure this is still on the tax reform, and tells him to subject tax bill to a referendum if NAS shoots it down. So just a maybe, if there's any reason why probably after going through the bill and there's maybe reason for them not to do anything, and this is a support saying that they should still go ahead, and said regret some states not creative, only banking on FG allocations. Now, still the tax reform, according to them, is when states are collecting tax, is going to, that means they are internally generating revenue to boost the economy in each of the states. And so definitely people are saying, no, states shouldn't be collecting tax, and some are saying they should. So this is one of the reasons why the back and forth with the bills. Go through page 9 for more details. Downfall letters page debuts today. Well, this just reminded me of downfall drivers at the end of the day. So go through page 28 for more details. Celebrating Pastor Chris Oyakilome now, Oyakilome, sorry. You can go through page 1 for that details. And then we have Bolaji Ogunmola. Definitely go through what she wants to say, or what she had said rather, on page 21 of the Saturday Vanguard. Then we have Nigeria passes verdict on judiciary. It performed better under military government. And the writer says, suggests ways to save it, regret it's failing our democracy. Now, we don't want to regret anything, So if there are better ways to handle this, then definitely we would want that to happen. So if the people are saying the judiciary performed better under military government, then it's something that needs to be looked into. Go through page 10 for more details. And then the Dele Farotimi versus the Afe Babalola's issue, still born of contention. How Farotimi's book became bestseller amidst defamation saga. This usually happens to, you know, the Westerners. Now we're seeing it happening in Nigeria, that when a saga or when a scandal sort of is hitting the particular person, their films or their songs or their books are actually selling, and now we are seeing that happening here as well. Go through page 23 for more details on that. Why Tinubu may be a one-term president. This is coming from Olagbo Deyang. And it says, PDP gone comatose, not dead. Well, when it's in comatose, it's either it comes out or it dies. You know, so nothing goes into coma and comes out. And when they come out, it's not usually stable. So we're hoping that what is said here doesn't actually play out. So we are hoping that PDP is going to regain their strength one way or the other. Go through page 12 for more details on that. And that's it for the newspaper reviews and the stories that made it to the front pages today. Now let's go on a quick break, and when we return, it's that time that we do open the phone lines for you to call in and share your views on topics that we put out there for you. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere after this break.